Let's take a look at some of the commands that we just reviewed. The date command is pretty standard. It's just like within Windows. We've got a calendar function that shows us what the calendar is for the month. How about if you're an admin and you want to know some information about the current users and who's on your system? Some real good tools to use are the Who Am I? If you're not sure how you're logged in, this will tell you. Then let's look at the Who command, and notice it tells you who's logged in and where and how long they've been logged in. The W command gives you a little bit more information, a little bit different. And there's the finger command. That goes out and looks at every user that's out on the system, and currently I'm the only user on this box. You'll notice each one of those commands gives you a little bit different information, so it depends upon what you're looking for as to which command you'd use. And the command that you're probably the most familiar with at this point is the clear command. I've used that a bunch. The uname tells you what operating system you're running. And with any of these commands, you have lots of options that you can add to them. They're also called switches. So we're going to do the uname with a -a. This gives you more information about the system that you're running. The reset command would return your terminal session to its defaults, but since we haven't made any changes, there's no reason to execute that one right now. Besides using your mouse and clicking on the X, you can type exit. Back in the old days, before we had mice, you did everything from the keyboard, and it took me a long time to get used to moving my hands off the keyboard over to the mouse. Now we're going to combine some of the Metacharacters that we just looked at with some of these basic commands. Let's say that you wanted to print out this month's calendar and you didn't have any way of doing it quickly. So we could use the cal command. We can use the cal or calendar command with an output redirector. That means it's not going to display the results of the cal command on the screen, but it will actually put it into a file. So we're going to give it the name of the file. So you notice it did not put it on the screen. But using the cat command, misspelled calendar. So now we have that in a file, and you can actually print that file, and you've got this month's calendar. Now let's say we wanted to add the date and time to the end of that. I would type the date command and then the append to the output redirection and give it the same file name, same misspelled file name. Now let's look at it again with the cat command. So now you see you have the calendar and you have the date and time that it was created. That probably is one of the most widely used Metacharacters that we have. Of course, in your searches, you can use the wildcards, which are the asterisk and the question mark. Another command that you've seen me use quite a bit is the pipe command. So let's do a directory, ls, in the long list for the Etsy directory, and you just use the pipe command and the word more. And as I said before, this gives you a page at the time or a line at the time. To do a page, you hit the space bar. To do a line, you hit the enter key. To get out of the command, you use a Q. You'll see more use of the wildcards later on when we do searches and locates.